Black Guns Matter is a group that educates people in urban communities about their Second Amendment rights. Its founder, Maj Toure, joins me now live from Buffalo, New York. He's been in the community rocked by that mass shooting. Maj, thank you so much for being with us. Talk about the feel in the community right now following that shooting. What are you seeing? What are you feeling?
The feel was very we're tired of the same. It wasn't angry. It was a lot of hurt, but there was also groups of people there willing to step up to take their personal protection into their own hands. And what I mean by that is taking on a mindset of training, taking on a mindset of embracing the Second Amendment to defend against these type of attacks. And a lot of people were just much more solution oriented. We know that this was a horrible tragedy, and the president was there, but the community themselves were more willing to take some online and in physical training to defend from these types of attacks.
That's really interesting because we are seeing an increased interest in Black and brown communities wanting to learn about guns, learn how to use them, how to properly store them. What is your organization doing in Buffalo to help these families?
So in essence, what we did, we went there. Drove up to Buffalo. We made ourselves available to the community. We let them know that they can start to actually get this training for free from our organization, Black Guns Matter. We're completely voluntary funded, nonprofit. Anyone that wants to learn can learn for free. We did an impromptu class there, but we also felt it was very important to make sure that we were listening to people and what they needed to happen from this. Thoughts and prayers are great, but if someone has trauma related to firearms, how can we still, before they're ready to get straight to a firearm for personal protection, what are some other things and solutions that they could apply to their life? So we did a lot of that, as well as made sure that even as we left Buffalo, we were there right after the president was there. But on top of that, we made sure that we engaged the community and gave them resources that they actually could apply. And I think that approach is balanced. And I think that's what's needed. We need those thoughts and prayers, but we also need to think about preventative maintenance. And the community was extremely receptive to that message.
And were there any common themes that you continued to hear from people in the community?
The biggest common theme that we heard was, in essence, we don't want more gun control. New York State has some of the most restrictive gun laws in America. And not long after that, unfortunately, there was another attack in California, another state that has tremendous amounts of gun control. But the biggest theme that we heard and the way that people took to the classes and the information that we presented was we don't want more restrictions on our right to defend ourselves from these type of domestic terrorists. We want laws that are in restriction of our Second Amendment and human right to self-defense. We want those laws to be repealed. That was a repetitive theme throughout the whole afternoon.
That's interesting and certainly a new dialogue. Let's get to the purpose of Black Guns Matter. Why was it created?
We were created because we saw, with the rise in violence, with the rise in ignorance and negligence around firearms, we knew that there needed to be a safe space for the general public to come and learn. If you're a novice, you know absolutely nothing about firearms, where could you go and there could be no judgment? You could get quality, efficient, basic training on safe handling of weapons, safe storage, firearms usage, whether that's a handgun or a long gun, all for free. So we were created there because a lot of times people will catch a firearms case not knowing the procedure. So it was more about information and educating the people about their human and Second Amendment rights, as well as how they could safely and responsibly be firearms owners in communities that are kind of hamstringed. They're trapped between overreaching restrictive gun laws that are very racist in origin, as well as bad guys that may live in the community that don't care about those rules. So we made Black Guns Matter as an option for people that wanted, that beginners that wanted to come learn, that wouldn't be judged, and they could get a wealth of information for absolutely free, completely by, donors and volunteer donations.
It's really important and transformative that you say that this is a free service that you offer, because a lot of people don't realize there's a lot of expense with gun ownership, with gun storage, and even going to the shooting range. Those can all be things that are very expensive that exclude people who maybe couldn't afford those services. But I want to touch on what you just sort of elaborated on. What are your thoughts on gun reform and what's happening with legislation to address the issue?
The legislation won't address the evil. That person, literally in his so-called manifesto, person, right, scumbag, literally explained why he picked Buffalo. He picked the area in Buffalo that was predominantly black and brown people. He knew that there would not be people, because most of our people are law abiding citizens. They knew that if they don't have the law in their corner to defend themselves, that he could go there and murder innocent black people, elders, children, all of the such. So that tells us that the bad guy doesn't respect the rule and is going to places where there are going to be good citizens that are trying to follow the rules. The answer here is not to immediately make more citizens more potentially felons for more rules that they have to break or run the risk of being attacked. The answer here is removing some of those laws, educating the people. There's tons of resources available. We would love to reach out to the administration or have the administration reach out to us to give us some of the actual resources that they're saying they want to allocate to nonprofits across the country to try this approach, because clearly this bad person didn't respect the rules. So what we see there is we can educate the people instead of legislating them into a corner, and sometimes that corner costing 10 or maybe even more lives.
And when you talk about that education, we know black and brown youth are disproportionately impacted by gun violence. So how does your organization educate them on violence and then properly teach them how to obtain weapons?
Absolutely. We go through, in Philadelphia, we opened up a solutionary center here in Philadelphia. We've been here for the last year, completely free. We've increased the licenses to carry in the city of Philadelphia by 600%. Violent crime for quarter 1 in Philadelphia, we had 562 homicides last year. For quarter 1, violent crime is actually down this year. On top of that, self-defensive usages, meaning a good person using a firearm, most times non-lethal, to defend against a bad person, is also up in Philadelphia. Not only that, because it's not just about a firearm, but these things are clear data that show our work is working in a city that had a lot of violent crime. The other thing, though, is we have quality of life classes. We have a yoga class. We had writing class. Kimberly Latrice Jones was there, New York Times bestselling writer, dealing with creative writing. We have a Stop the Bleed class. We have classes on urban food growing. We have classes on Spanish. We have classes on finance. We have one coming up soon, keeping your business legal, walking people through how to get their EIN number for free from the IRS, how to get their nonprofit started. These are the quality of life things that happen at our solutionary center. And of course, the self-defense component is a part of it, but it's a part of a holistic approach to making our communities whole again. And so the firearms component and defending your life is one angle, but it's only one side of a multi-layered approach to how we get our communities back active, self-sufficient, independent, and all of this is under one roof at our location.
This is really amazing. I've yet to hear of an organization taking a holistic approach, as you describe it, to gun ownership and learning your firearms rights. What is your message to people who say that black people arming up to protect themselves against white supremacy only adds to the problem?
Well, that's foolish. That's foolish. I mean, if a white supremacist, a racist, a terrorist, we see this so-called guy here getting arrested, right? Getting taken into custody. The reality is he should not have been taken into custody. I would have loved to trade that threat for the lives of the 10 people that were murdered. Okay. So to say that, black people wanting to defend themselves from these types of bigots and racists is only going to add to the problem. Not only is that morally incorrect, that's almost saying as if black people don't have a right to defend their lives. On top of it being morally correct, it's also statistically incorrect. In situations where there's stand your ground cases, black people benefit from stand your ground using as a self-defense, case. We benefit from that than any other ethnic group in America. When you're talking about the racist roots of gun control and this thing actually being created to stop black people from having the means to defend themselves as far back as the Ku Klux Klan, you see the contradiction of someone saying, us having firearms to defend ourselves from these types of attacks is somehow going to add to the problem. It will add to the problem for the white supremacists or the so-called racists, because they know that they're going to have people to contend with, as opposed to the cowards like this guy that deliberately picked a place where he knew no black people would be there to defend themselves. So those people, I understand the reason and the concern, but again, morally it's incorrect and statistically it's also incorrect.
We have time for just a quick question. One last question. Where can we learn more about your organization?
Yeah, We are completely crowdfunded. You can go to our website, solutionarylifestyle.org. Again, solutionary, like revolutionary, but solutions, solutionarylifestyle.org. Again, if anyone that's listening to this understands our approach, this isn't about more violence. It's not even necessarily about guns. It's about having the means to build the equity in our communities and our lives, and also having the means to defend that. So if you feel that this is something that you could support, please, all of our classes are free. Please pay it forward. Go to our Give, Send, Go page. Donate 5, 10, 20 bucks. That's givesendgo.com/solutionary. And all of that is on our website, solutionarylifestyle.org.
Well, I like what you're bringing to the table, so I'm looking forward to having more conversations with you. Maj Toure, founder of Black Guns Matter, thank you for being with us today.